Welcome everybody to our webinar on navigating buyer groups using personality insights. My name is Leela Gill. I'm the CMO at xiQ, the first personality-driven sales and marketing platform designed for B2B enterprise. With me, of course, is Usman Sheikh, the founder and CEO of xiQ. Prior to founding xiQ, Usman served in several vice president roles with global responsibility at SAP, including product management, sales enablement, and digital commerce. He is a guest lecturer and speaker at the universities of Texas, Wisconsin, Alabama, and many others, and a graduate of the University of Michigan. Go Wolverines. Welcome, Usman.
Thank you.
All right, so we're excited to get started today. And on the agenda is we're going to talk about 5 topics. First, we're going to just define personality sales and marketing. So to set the context for everybody, we're going to then talk about why personality matters in the new age of B2B selling. Then we're going to jump right into what are buyer groups and give you a definition of buyer groups. What are the challenges associated with managing those buyer groups? And then really how to create some strategies to listen, engage, and influence those buyer groups to help you close deals faster. So with that, we're going to get right into the heart of the webinar. It's about a 30-minute total session today, so we'll take questions at the end, and I'll turn it over to you, Usman. So first, let's just to set the context, tell our audience, what is personality-driven sales and marketing?
Great. Thank you, Leela. So personality-driven sales and marketing is the science of being able to understand how people make decisions. So we tap into behavioral science. A lot of work has been done in modeling how people make decisions. This has been put together in personality assessment methodologies we're familiar with, such as Myers-Briggs or DISC or 5 personality theories, and many more. And so there are fairly well-defined models in terms of what are behavioral traits and how those behavioral traits influence the way people make decisions. What we've done is we've tapped into that psychology, into that neuroscience of how people make decisions, and we have tied it together with an algorithm that helps us pick up digital signatures in the public space, interpret those digital signatures, and present a personality, and then we leverage that personality, the behavior of the individual that we may be targeting, we leverage that as a way of helping custom define content and outreach to those individuals. And this is used in business-to-business sales as a tool to help salespeople navigate through the entire buyer journey, which is usually for complex, long sales cycles.
Excellent. So thank you for that definition. Let's talk about why personality matters in today's B2B buying age. The world has changed in the last couple of years.
Yeah, but hopefully everybody still remembers who Captain Kirk and Dr. Spock were, right? So if you don't, famous Starship Enterprise, Star Trek, Captain Kirk was the quintessential captain of a large enterprise. And he had a lot of different challenges on his plate all the time. And he had to make very quick decisions. So Kirk was trained as a professional to interpret data very quickly, look at key indicators that would help them make decisions very fast. They had to do this because it was life-threatening, situations, and they had to come out of that. Dr. Spock, the Vulcan, was this supercomputer, right? Could analyze a lot of data very, very quickly and come back and tell you, hey, these are your options, right? So if you can think about that, if you can visualize these two individuals, and we see these sort of individuals every day in our daily lives. If you can, and then there is the communicators, then there is the people that are very conscientious and work very hard and steady. So there's all different type of people, but let's just stick to the Captain Kirk and Spock. If you look at these people, if you were to give Captain Kirk all the reams of data that Spock would need to interpret to come up with a best option recommendation, Kirk would not be the right person. They would choke on that, and they would not be able to interpret that. And they'll reject you as a source of information, because they'll say, you don't understand my requirements. My requirements are quick data points that help me make quick decisions. On the other hand, if you took what Kirk would be looking for and sent it to Spock, he would also reject you. Why? Because Spock is expecting very intense detailed data, and they're kind of offended by the fact that this person, the seller, never reached out to me and equipped me with all the information I really needed to make that qualified decision. They undermined me, right? And hence start coming the fractures within these different people and how we reach out to salespeople. So personalities matter, because if you cross-wire Kirk with Spock, you're not going to get the desired outcomes. As a matter of fact, it'll be hazardous to your health, because they will both start saying, you're not actually able to communicate with me. Click, end of the relationship. So that's why personality matters, Leela.
Yeah, it's a great, I love the analogy, of course, being a Star Trek fan myself. So this is great. I think that sets the context for what is personality-driven sales, why it matters. Let's talk about the platform selling the way your buyers think with xiQ. And then we have one more slide and we'll jump into a demo. So
yes,
yeah,
indeed. So what we've just talked about is, how do we get to this? Public data match with behavioral science, making a prediction call in terms of what kind of preferences, what kind of best practices to engage with a person like that. What we've then done is we put this into actual actionable, practical process, and we help sellers get real-time personality insights. We will show that in our demo. You can get real-time alerts on companies, one place to go and look for all your account research and information. And this is shown by represented by the green chevrons in the circle you're seeing. And then we've taken that personality concept to the next level by saying, okay, based on personality, what would be the ideal communication and content strategy that you would build for that individual? And we're using that personality level information to custom craft emails and give content recommendations to use in marketing campaigns. Net result of that, you get 10x higher engagement. We have a campaign execution engine to us that's core. You can send out emails, you can get analysis, you can get feedback on what's happening. And as we move into those blue chevrons, the next capability is a complete analytics engine that allows us to sort through who are my top prospects in terms of companies as well as individuals, and then also understand at the next level as to what are the key topics of interest to them. So I can keep building that one-to-one, highly, I like to use the word individualized relationship versus personalized. This is very individualized relationships that xiQ, as a result of a fully integrated platform, allows you to do at scale. So I can build highly individualized strategies for those people that would be involved in the buying decision-making process.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a good segue into the next slide, which talks about precision selling and the evolution. And then we'll talk about buyer group definition, and then we'll get into a demo. Sorry, I know.
Yeah, no worries.
We have a couple more slides, but we'll be jumping into that demo soon.
And it makes a lot of sense, right? If you think about it, we've gone through the different stages of how B2B sales and marketing have matured, right? They've come closer and closer. We know today that, those companies which are making highly personalized sales strategies for their clients are the ones that are really growing their, our clients are doing it. And those companies that are highly successful in making very individualized strategies are on a very rapid revenue growth path. And xiQ is that, next evolution, big step change in precision selling. Since start of mankind, we've always been trying to get to that individualized strategy to sell, give everybody that highly personalized experience, right? That individualized experience. And xiQ is the enabling engine, taps into the behavioral mindset. How do people think? And uses AI to distill a lot of unstructured data from the public internet and bring those two together to provide value-added recommendations. Let's move to the next slide, please. Yeah.
The heart of our presentation today. Let's talk about what is a buyer group, and then why they're so important, and how xiQ can help you solve those challenges.
Right. So buyer groups are highly focused individuals that have been chartered by a company to go out and find the next generation solutions, solve their next generation problems. And there are different types of individuals that are purposefully put into buying groups. They have different skill set. They look at things from a different lens. They look at things from a different lens in a professional perspective. And then they also look at things from a different lens from a personality perspective. And it's that personality perspective that is usually overlooked in sales engagement. You can classify this sometimes as EQ, right? Have you been able to build that empathy and that relationship with your prospective buyers? Or it could be just the ability to communicate and get through to those individuals, right? So what motivates them? How do they make those decisions? That is critical to how you communicate. If you communicate, you stand a chance to win, right? So the buyer groups are, again, these purposeful groups that have been put together to help run clients, run through the purchase cycle, right? I have to buy a solution. At the very top are those guys that are out there looking, they're the radars, they're looking for new technology, the innovators, right? These are the visionaries. These are the people that are Imagineers, if you may, right? So they're thinking the art of the possible. How can the strategist, right? How can I take my company to the next level of growth? That's the question they have, right? And once they get through that, so you have to appeal to them, and there's a certain way you communicate to them. There's certain things they're looking for. And again, understanding the personality and motivations and behavior of these people is critical information on how you craft that game plan for them. Mm-hmm. Next, as we get further, we shortlisted Leela now, yep. You've said, hey, xiQ sounds really cool, right? Put it to work. And then we're thrown into the group of people that are going to evaluate us. They're going to be looking at this as a user. Hey, I have to live with this. How can I, right? And so they're going through all the check marks, making sure this is foolproof, watertight system that's operating over there. And yet, again, these guys have their own personal agendas. They have their motivations. They have certain biases potentially, that are inherent. They might be biased towards your competitors, for example. You need to know this stuff. There might be people that talk, but then don't necessarily act. And then there are those that are purposeful, goal-oriented results, want to get things done. And knowing this is very important. And then lastly, you have the group that's the buyers, right? These are the key decision makers. And their role is to question, right? They have to see how this deal, why do we really need it? What is the business case for it? What is the justification? Will my users, will they actually adopt it and use it, right? Will they get value out of it? And so they're looking at it from a totally different lens, and their personalities are different. And a lot of deals, we'll talk about this in a little bit. A lot of deals are stalled. 40%, according to Challenger, 39% of your pipeline is in the indecision stage. We can all quantify that, right? Mm-hmm. How big is that, right?
In fact, I think, Usman, on the next slide, we talk about the cost of not managing the buyer group. So let's bring that up and point to that. And then just a time check, just so you know, we're about 15 minutes away from the end. So
got it. Yeah. So if you again look at it, right, today, almost 100% of your B2B sales decisions are through multiple people. Gartner says 6 to 12. Our experience is as much as 40. And then, the overlap time is very little. All this, decision-making evaluation is actually taking place offline. Your time to influence is very short. Next, please. And if you don't manage this buying group, 84% of the deals are being lost right there. They're evaporating. All that effort that marketing has put in to bring somebody in, gone, right? Just on the first touch. And 39%, as we were talking about, sitting there because we haven't been able to figure out the dynamics of that buying group.
Absolutely. So so let's talk about how do you sell to the buying group?
Yeah, let's go show you, right?
Yeah, so, awesome. Let's jump into the demo.
Yeah, let's go there. I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to show you the xiQ app. And here we're going to take the case of a salesperson, myself in this particular case, who is chasing after a crypto client. So my industry is crypto, and I have to break into this highly volatile, unpredictable, emergent new industry, right?
Mhm.
So I come
Usman,
across.
before you get started, I just want to set the context for the audience too. This is one solution within our platform. We call this solution that we're showing you right now sales intelligence. Those were the, if you remember the chevrons, the slide with the green and the yellow and the blue. This is just one solution of 3 that we have on the platform. And we're just touching the tip of the iceberg today on its capabilities. So he's going to go specifically into buying groups and how to manage them. There's a lot more here that we want to explain to you if you're interested. At the end of the webinar, you'll have my email and we'll be able to follow up with you if you're interested. So sorry, I just wanted to set that context so people understood that this is just one little piece of a bigger platform.
Beautiful, perfect. That's exactly right. So again, what we're going to talk about is how these buyer groups help me accelerate my sales cycle, manage my sales cycle. And in my particular case, I'm chartered to break into the crypto business. Coinbase is a company I've heard of. I recently came across one of their people, Ryan Whitehead. I met them and I immediately go into xiQ, type out their name, and voila, up comes a profile. Our engine goes, finds Ryan from that particular company. And by clicking on this person, I can actually generate our first psychometrically driven personality profile. And here we have been able to see there, let's go to the insights, please. We're able to see in detail what is Ryan's personality. And right off the back, it tells us, looks for originality and excitement in work and resists formality. So that's great. And now high-level understanding. I also see on the left-hand side, it's calling him a motivator. That's his modus operandi, that he likes to work. He likes to motivate people to perform. And then xiQ helps start uncovering other parts of their personality, starting with their, what can I expect? So in my first meeting, if I'm reaching out, what should I expect? Is upbeat, seeks to create an optimistic impression on coworkers. So keep it light, go up, be upfront about things and appeal to their trusting nature. That's great, right? Motivations, what motivates them? How should I build the trust? So xiQ's psychometric insights and are now starting to predict how or what to expect, how to communicate to Ryan. And this becomes the foundation of us helping understand the personality. Not only that, it also gives us the social on that. And right here within xiQ, without moving out, I can tap into what is Ryan posting on Twitter and what is Ryan posting on LinkedIn. And immediately I see, hey, he's posted a video about a wallet. And immediately I can start actually physically understanding what is of business and professional interest to Ryan, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what xiQ does, is first and foremost helps you uncover the people, right? Now, I can add.
And just so you know, we have 10 more minutes.
Perfect. No worries. And I can start uncovering more people like that. I can find Ryan, add him to my buyer group by simply hitting, I want to know, who's Ryan's boss? It's, I simply type in Chief Marketing Officer in Coinbase, up comes Kate. I can add her in. I can keep adding people that I'm meeting, or I can continue to do my prospecting by saying, look, I want to know more people in the Coinbase marketing. That's where I'm going to be selling. And right here come a whole list of search results that are telling me who could be potential people. I find the ones that I'm interested in, and there's Ryan, of course, showing up there again, and I'm hitting plus sign, and xiQ creates a buyer group. Now, this is what we wanted to talk about. And right off the bat, when you look at the colors around these people and their personality traits written underneath them, that somebody's a driver, somebody's a strategist, a designer, right off the bat, you know that if you're going to run an individualized game plan, you need to deal with these people differently, right? You need to build custom strategies. Now, next thing that xiQ is coming up with is it's already starting to put these into 3 categories of people. People that could be the ones that could be your ambassadors, that could be your advocates for you, that would be the doers. Those that could be coaching you, giving you valuable insights, and those we call blockers, but those are the ones that are coming to really ask the tough questions, why do we really need it? And you need to know those upfront, because a lot of those deals, those 39% deals that are stuck there because those people have not been addressed as yet. And knowing who those people are in your decision cycle through a tool like xiQ is super, super valuable, right? So not only is xiQ giving you this topographical landscape, in terms of the behavioral landscape of the buying group, it's also helping you put a magnifying glass on what these people are saying. And so by going to updates, I can see a composite view of what the individuals in my buying group are saying. And as I scroll down, I can see what their CMO is saying. But Emily Choi, she's the chief operating officer. I want to know what she's saying. And she's talking about this new crypto phones and how this particular story could be of value. This is golden news. This is really, really valuable for me as a seller, because now when I do talk to Emily, I would know specifically what to cite because she's posted it out there, right? And I'm the first one who's going to know that. And again, just to kind of summarize this, the value advantages of the xiQ buyer group, first of all, you can look up people. You can, in 3 seconds, look up people. You can find groups of people within companies, add them to your buyer group. And from within the buyer group, you can see right off the bat the different colors. If you can go to people proportion right there and subcategories of how they fall into. And if you can go back to our slides, please. We're ready.
And I'll just add one comment about this also within xiQ is we give you a full education around these personality types as well. So there's a whole module in here on, what does it mean to be a driver versus a motivator, the personality type. So there's a component of xiQ that also helps you really dive into the personality types and understand how they interact with each other.
Okay. So yeah, and let me just summarize that, right, as to where this is leading. And so our clients, where they're using buyer groups and personality-based insights to sell, they're increasing their win rates by as much as 24%. And again, just to kind of highlight what were the unique things you just saw, it was a quick demo. We were able to pull up a personality, identify different people. We were able to add them into a buyer group. xiQ starting to sort those buyer groups into different categories and provide recommendations at the highest level on how to engage with them. And it is allowing you to then have a amplification of what exactly those people are saying and find value added nuggets that you can use in your sales. So buyer groups are super important. Layering them with personality makes them extremely dynamic, Leela.
Yep, absolutely. So we have a couple of questions coming up, and I just want to check, Usman, is there more on the demo that you want to share right now? I think we're summarizing it and we're opening it up for questions this last 5 minutes, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Absolutely.
fantastic. So from Daniel, we have a question about, okay, so this is a great question. It's about communicating to the buyer groups or, recommendations from xiQ on how to communicate to the buyer groups. So, we have another module that we didn't talk about today called Workbench, which is that communication module. And Usman, do you want to touch on that just briefly so that the audience understands the next steps? Once you've created the buyer groups, there's segmentation you can do. There's our next generation, which is coming out very shortly. You can actually share buyer groups with other people within your organization. So people can be contributing to the buyer groups and doing really interesting segmentation strategies, which we haven't talked about today. But let's talk about how to communicate to the buyer group. Once you look at it and you understand these personality types, what's the next step?
Yeah, excellent question. So next step is that xiQ now provides you two capabilities. One within your Outlook. So if you're actually in your day-to-day email exchanges with these individuals, if you're already at that stage, there's an xiQ add-in, and right there, it helps you understand each and every person you're emailing, what is their personality, and it tells you how to compose that custom email right there. And the other, as you mentioned, Leela, which is more in an outreach, continuous engagement process, and where we have the xiQ Marketing Workbench platform, which is fully integrated. It comes in, and I think our next webinar actually, interestingly, is about that, is how do we use first-hand intent data and these behavioral insights to formulate highly engaging campaigns. So we can craft at the buyer group level a strategy, and we can craft at the individual email level a personalized, individualized strategy.
Mhm.
xiQ.
Yeah, so there's keywords that we come up with that based on what they're posting in on the internet or news articles. We come up with keywords for people and for the company. So there's two capabilities there that we'll reveal next week, or I think it's in our next webinar, which is March 24th, or we're happy to give you a demo if anybody's interested. We have one more question about real life examples of this feature being used, Usman. David's interested, and I know some of our customers are using it right now, and we have some of our customers on the webinar today too. So maybe we can talk about a couple of, this is a capability that we've recently launched, and I think that they're diving into those examples of how to use buyer groups.
Yeah, so actually buyer groups have been used by our clients. They've been able to formulate them. We've kind of put in better experience around them now and dedicated, areas within the platform. Nevertheless, buyer groups are proven the ability to understand at different levels of the organization, the ability to understand the different stages of the buying cycle, and the ability to custom craft your communication is already demonstrating, as I said, 24% on average win rates for people that are actually using those techniques.
Okay, we have two more questions. One from Andy about the confidence level of the personalities and how, how does somebody that's using xiQ believe the confidence level that we post in the platform? So let's speak to that. And then the next question after that is about the categories and how do you, again, I think it's a follow-up to the first question about using the different personality types. I'll talk about that question in just a minute when it comes.
So let's go to the confidence level question. So confidence level is based, again, there's a machine-based algorithm that is saying and project, we show that the machine-based algorithm saying based on the intelligence I collected or that I collected and I interpreted, I believe that me as the machine, xiQ AI engine, that 80% likelihood that this is the behavioral model that would fit this person, okay? Now, how do we put that in context of accuracy, if you may? The fact that, our engine is growing and the usage of that continues to grow helps us, gain confidence in the fact that our confidence rankings are actually pretty good. And secondly, it's the, the options, the alternatives, right? You got to put that into question as well, because not everybody is interpreting the same people the same way. And given the fact that we can't interact with them, that 5% of the sales team is overlapping with the buying team, through the duration of the life cycle. So that time is shrinking, right? We need to be able to interpret digital signatures, digital indicators. We need to be able to pick those up and put them through a science-based evaluation process that helps us get to understand what would be the behavioral traits of individuals. Now, 100%, we will never be 100% accurate.
Right. But again, going back to the Spock versus Kirk analogy, at a very high level, just understanding he's a Captain Kirk and this is, Spock, just understanding those two differences between the people is very helpful. And as a result, we've seen a lot of traction with our platform. We always put it to the test, of course, and we ask people, what do you think of the person? Did we get it right? And to date, for me, everybody I've talked to has said, yeah, it's pretty spot on. So we're happy to give you a sample of the personality insights if you're interested in querying with us after the call or emailing me after this session. We have one more question, but we're at the bottom of the hour. So let me just say this really quickly. The question is, do different categories of people within the buying group come with contradicting feedback during a demo call? How does xiQ give recommendations then? I think the question is like, let's say you've got a driver and a strategist and a motivator on a demo call. I think the question is, how do you address those when you're on a call, right? So do you want to speak to that for just 1 minute and then?
Yeah, this is a feature that's coming up, and this is in our next Sales Intel platform release, where we're doing personality matching. So it's actually helping you understand that if I am a driver personality and I am talking to somebody who's a challenger personality, what would be the things I should be cautious of, and what should be the areas I should actually focus on? So absolutely, we're coming up with that, and it will help you understand that. It's going to be, again, that one-to-one capability, helping you understand how you could address the individual, again, the word individual, and needs of people, right?
Yeah. And just to step back for a minute, just even understanding that there's those three different personality types in the demo call is very helpful as well, because maybe there's nobody on the call that's a Spock personality. And so you don't have to go deep dive into, you know, all these calculations. Instead, you talk high level about the strategy and the value proposition, or vice versa. You have people that are like Spock that really want to get into the details, and you need to present, you know, the ROI calculations and the assumptions. So that information alone can be very helpful. We do have our next webinar coming up on March 24th that talks about first party intent data, where xiQ also pulls keywords at the person and account level. And we'll talk a little bit about how to leverage that. My email's on the screen, lgill@xiqinc.com. If you are interested in following up with us, I would love to talk to you further. And I think we have a survey that we're going to ask everybody. It's a 3-question survey. Please go ahead and answer that for us. We really appreciate it. And with that, after you answer the survey, we'll sign off, and we will hope to hear from you again. Again, my email is lgill@xiqinc.com. And I'd like to thank you so much for participating in our session today.